Cam Show, Rogue Media Sports Network, and a potentially big development in the sale of the Boston Celtics, the world champion Boston Celtics, the 18-time world champion Boston Celtics. Bill Simmons saying on his podcast yesterday, almost in passing, but Bill Simmons says that Jeff Bezos has serious interest in buying the Celtics and is really circling those wagons to see if he can own the NBA's most decorated franchise. And obviously, on surface level, that makes sense, right? I think some of the first names thrown around were, obviously Fenway Sports Group and John Henry, which we talked about last week, and also Jeff Bezos, because he has an endless money supply and he has shown interest in buying sports teams before, which could lead to some bad things, which I'll get to in a few minutes. But the way Simmons kind of brought this up, and obviously this has caught wildfire throughout this Monday morning of all the news cycles picking up that Bezos is interested in buying the Celtics. But in the way that Simmons presented it in the podcast, I don't want to say in passing because they did talk about it for a few minutes, but it really was like, hey, Jeff Bezos has shown some interest here. I think some of the owners are thinking that could happen. It's going to be really expensive. And then, okay, because it's a Simmons podcast, what are your top 5 most valuable sports franchises? And it kind of goes from there. So it's a quick discussion, but of course this interest does make sense. And coming at it from the vantage point of a Celtics fan, I'm really mixed. I'm really mixed in the emotions here. I'll go with the good first. I mean, the good is it's not Fenway Sports Group, which I talked about last week with John Henry and Tom Werner, and that is something the Celtics do not need. And the Boston fans are sick of it coming from the Red Sox standpoint. And that is a conglomerate that has its feet in too many pools, and it has led to the mismanagement of the Red Sox over the last few seasons, a mismanagement that has put a barely above average product out there, one that the fans can't get behind, and one that's been, an overall experience that has been downright insulting to the fans, where the fans don't think there's investment in the team and that they're not getting better, to the point where the manager almost let his contract just run out because he hasn't been getting any kind of verification from his front office that they're actually going to go in at some point and try to build a winner. And they're kind of winning in spite of that this year. And they still have the most expensive ticket in baseball. And you go to the ballpark, and it is totally catering to the pink hat tourists who are coming from out of town, which you need those. But to the point where I'm going into the Red Sox team store and they have Yankees stuff up for sale, Yankees hats and T-shirts. That's the kind of shit that you get from Fenway Sports Group, the kind of tone deaf, fuck you to the fans kind of bullshit that you get from Fenway Sports Group. So keeping that away from the Celtics might be the best part about any kind of Jeff Bezos interest. And the other good part is he has a lot of money, like an almost indefinable amount of money, right? Like we're talking about the Amazon mastermind here. I don't even know if any of the net worth stuff is even accurate, because he might be worth even more. Because you look at the net worth, it's $200 billion. So that massive $6 billion price tag that figure's being thrown around apparently by executives in the league, again, reported by Bill Simmons in the podcast. If $6 billion is the number to buy the Celtics, that is chump change for Jeff Bezos. More so than just about anyone in the world. This guy can afford it. And to that end, I think a lot of Celtics fans are thinking, well, then he'll have no problem investing in the team. He doesn't care about a luxury tax. He's got all this money. He does. He has the money. Whether he cares is something entirely different. Because we look at Fenway Sports Group, again, not nearly the net worth that Jeff Bezos has, okay? That needs to be said. They're not $200 billion. But they have been scared shitless of a luxury tax in Major League Baseball for 5 or 6 years now, to the point where that fear dismantled the best team in Red Sox history in 2018. It fell apart after that. And you traded the best player on that best team because you didn't want to pay the luxury tax and that you couldn't afford to re-sign him, you thought. So whether they can afford it and whether they want to do it is something entirely different, because Fenway Sports Group, they can afford a luxury tax. They can. Liverpool brings in a lot of money. But whether they want to do it is a different thing. I guess Jeff Bezos is more likely to want to do it because he has a lot more money, but it is not that cut and dry with these people. It's really not. And the $6 billion price tag does still surprise me, for the simple fact of the Celtics do not own the arena. That is a big chunk of revenue taken out, right? So I think the Phoenix Suns were the most recently bought when Ishbia bought them, and that was $4 billion. You bought the Suns, you bought the Mercury, and the arena, and you control that. I mean, just look no further than the Patriots. That's how Robert Kraft really made the money with the team. Obviously, made his money before that, but made his money in the team by buying the parking lots at Foxborough Stadium and then buying the stadium, because then all that game day revenue was theirs. And then he could buy the Patriots. It's no such case. No one's buying the Garden. Delaware North owns the Garden. The Bruins. It's not changing. The Celtics would need to build their own arena. And when you look at the grandiose buildings that are going up across all sports, one thing they all need is a lot of room. None of these new arenas or stadiums are going up downtown. None of them in the last 5, 6, 7 years. They are all going, weirdly enough, with kind of a Robert Kraft approach. Buying a place, buying a town, buying a part of a city, and making it the stadium, or the city with the stadium. And Boston does not have that room. It doesn't. They had Suffolk Downs. That's already got a plan. They're building luxury apartments there. That's not going to work. They talk about the Seaport for the Rev Stadium that they've been talking about for a decade. I don't think you have the room there for what Jeff Bezos is going to want to build. So can he afford to? Yes. But once again, we hit another hurdle of where's that going to be? How is that going to work? So it's not, I just, that $6 billion doesn't seem, it seems still a little too high. And we're talking about the franchise in the NBA. And why that concerns me, because most of the time, who cares about the value of their franchise? That's what the Dallas Cowboys care about. They don't win Super Bowls. So they care about how valuable their franchise is. The Yankees care about that. The fans don't give a shit, especially ones that are used to winning championships, especially one that's in a championship mode right now, like the Boston Celtics. But if it is $6 billion, I think that prices out the ideal situation of what Celtics fans would want. And that is an ownership group that is led by Steve Paliuca and Rob Hale, who already have stakes in the Celtics. That would be ideal, because Jeff Bezos doesn't really give a shit about the Celtics. Most owners don't really care about their team and their fans. It's an investment. And when you're talking about a guy who invented Amazon and has bought up just about all you can in this world, he doesn't really care about how many times the Celtics are putting the ball in the basket. He would care about an arena and a TV rights deal, putting asses in the seats, and yeah, a championship would be nice too. But what Boston fans have been spoiled by so much, myself very much included, in my lifetime, has been really good ownership. And Fenway Sports Group isn't that right now, but they certainly were. They certainly put a lot of investment into the team and brought championships to this city that people had never seen. Okay, Robert Kraft, the very definition, season ticket holder turned owner of the team. That guy is a fan. You can criticize him for what's going on in this post-Brady era, sure, but you can't deny that he has the best interest of this football team and this fan base in mind. We have seen it time and time and time again. The Jacobs with the Bruins, you can call them cheap. I would agree with you. But they really do care about this team, and that's why it has been one of the most successful, again, in my lifetime. If you're looking, since they signed Chara 17 years ago, 18 years ago, they have been one of the most successful franchises in the NHL, a model of consistency. And really, most of the time, the Jacobs have owned them. And the Celtics were very much the same way with Wick and Pags. Because you look at it, since they built the core of their front office for the 2008 championship team, which that goes back almost 20 years now, a lot of the same people have been in place. You know, they've really only had two GMs, Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens. They had Doc Rivers as the coach for a while, but I'm talking more front office with the GM's consistency. And Rich Gotham has been there for years and years and years. Their front office, including the people who just work the desk jobs that you don't know, that staff has been together for a long time. It is continuity and it is care for this franchise, for this team, and for the city. Jeff Bezos probably is not going to bring you that. He's not from here. We don't know that he's a big sports fan. And the other elephant in the room is he tried to buy a football team. That interest doesn't go away. Okay, the NBA is a good investment, but so, very much so, is the NFL. So if he buys the Celtics, do you think that interest for the NFL is just going to go away? I really doubt it. And in fact, the next time there's a big NFL franchise on the market, I'd be stunned if Jeff Bezos isn't going after that. So, if he buys the Celtics, and they continue to win here because they've got their team locked up and they've got a great GM and they've got a great coach and they've got great players. If he buys the Celtics and they continue to win and he's looking at an NFL franchise in the meantime, then he's no different from Fenway Sports Group. Then he becomes your biggest fear. Then that luxury tax does become an issue because he owns two teams, not one. That's where the medium to long-term future scares me of Jeff Bezos owning the Celtics. Wyc Grousbeck and Steve Pagliuca buy the Celtics, and that is theirs. They're Massachusetts people. They love the Celtics. They're okay just owning the Celtics. Jeff Bezos is not that. And I think what it is showing to Celtics fans is we have been in a dream for the last 20 years in terms of ownership. The Patriots are the same way for 30 years. You had a guy, and in the Celtics case, a couple of guys, buying the team that was actually a fan of the team and were local. So I hope Rob Hale and Steve Pagliuca can put up some cash to make this a fight, because I think that is still the ideal scenario. Boring? Sure. Does it make the headlines? Absolutely not. But if you want the great Celtics dynasty to be renewed, those are the guys who I'd rather have in charge than Jeff Bezos, personally. And every generation has gotten a great Celtic dynasty, or at least a Celtic run. 11 out of 13, 2 out of 3 championships in the 80s. We have not. Millennials and Gen Zs, we haven't yet. And if you want that, that is for Steve Pagliuca and Rob Hale. It might not be for Jeff Bezos. Again, the thing that will cloud this all if Bezos buys the team is the fact that they're in very good shape for the next 2 or 3 years. So it might take a while before we realize if he's a good owner or not. But I just can absolutely see with that interest with the NFL that we're saying, thank God Jeff Bezos is buying the team. At least it's not Fenway Sports Group. And within a few years, it becomes Fenway Sports Group 2. I don't know. I know that I'm probably being naive in the Rob Hale, Steve Pagliuca thing. $6 billion is a lot. By the way, Jeff Bezos did get outbid for the team formerly known as the Washington Redskins. the Commanders. I blanked on their name. The Commanders, the Washington football team. Bezos did get outbid for the Commanders at $6.05 billion. So maybe, just maybe, that $6 billion price tag might price him out. And if that's the case, that's something for the NBA to look at. If you're pricing out Jeff Bezos, who is going to buy this team? Because there's only a handful of people on the planet that can buy sports teams at this point. And the NBA wants this price out there because they want expansion teams. And we've known that. Bill Simmons talked about that in the spiel, that they're looking at, Vegas and some other sites for an expansion team. Seattle maybe again. And that's why is then everyone gets, $500,000 and let's do this thing. Anyway, let me know what you think. Drop that down in the comments on YouTube, please. What you think about this Jeff Bezos thing. It's not the worst thing. And it's not Fenway Sports Group, and there's the chance that he doesn't become Fenway Sports Group. But there are people out there who are quite rich who might just be priced out that are actual Celtics fans and really care about this team and their community and you, the Celtics fan. And I think they might just miss it. And that's really unfortunate. Anyway, be sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. It is the Cam Show bringing you Wicked Smart. I didn't plan that. I didn't put that out there. Wicked Spot, Boston Sports, every day. Let me know what you think about this Jeff Bezos deal with the Celtics, and we will be updating this as it goes. Here on the Cam Show, powered by Rogue Media Sports Network.
We are Rogue Media Sports.